What brings you to Israel?
I'm here for the International Conference on Combating Antisemitism, 81st anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. So my first time coming for this conference, so it's been good, yeah.
Why is it important for you to be here?
Well, many different reasons. Our organization fights anti-Semitism by the solidarity between Africa and Israel, and the Black and Jewish communities, but also, as we tell people often, as we see anti-Semitism rising anywhere, but particularly in the West.
Back to Europe. Is that where I come from?
Back to Europe. It's always connected to the violence against Christians in this part of the world. These things are always connected, right? So the more there's a hatred for our Jewish brothers and sisters, the more deaths we see of Nigerian Christians, Syrian Christians. This is because it's the same mentality. Here it may be kinetic. In the West, it's often ideological, but it turns into physical.
You need to go. You need to go.
Are you surprised by the rising anti-Semitism, even in pop culture? We've seen Kanye West create a track that, has really taken off, even though it's been censored. Are you surprised?
No. Leading up to October 7th, what we have been tracking, what was happening from our college campuses and beyond. And so the 2 years leading up to October 23 was Intifada-style violence here in Israel. Much of it because of the funding that was flooding to Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and that type of thing. And we saw it was gaining more and more traction. Again, as I told other people, we were never predicting an October 7th, but it's very, very clear that violence had gone to an, especially when you contrast the 4 years of the first Trump administration, which was much more relative calm, Abraham Accords, that type of thing. And then immediately the Biden administration, they violate the Taylor Force Act, they begin to flood Hamas, they begin to fund UNRWA, and so the violence was amazingly, it was very connected. The more money they got, the more violence they did against Israel. So it was clearly building up to something.
In the Christian community, there is also a spike. We're seeing influencers, people like Candace Owens, who are very popular.
So for Candace and then the Kanye, that type of thing, fall of 22 was when that particular thing got started. Kanye with his interview with Tucker Carlson, Candace with her kind of co-signing everything Kanye would say. Our organization, again, began to track it then and said this is a problem, not because it was widespread, but because they are hugely influential and virtually no one was saying anything about it. They weren't addressing it, which was a parallel to the left when it started with the Ilhan Omars and everything. Once again, the anti-Semitism that she was bringing did not speak for the Democrat Party at all because it's very pro-Israel, if you will. But the problem was that no one was saying anything. The Chuck Schumers and Nancy Pelosi, they left it alone and they became the squad. We saw the same thing happening on the right. It just wasn't in Congress, but it was still happening with influential people on the right. Started with Tucker and with Candace, became Marjorie Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon. It began to grow. And part of the reason why is because people on the right weren't saying anything about it.
Is that shifting, or are you worried that that's the direction the Republican Party's going?
I think it's where it's going. It'll shift at some point. The battle right now that's happening is concentrated around the young people, and this is what the main issue is. Because everything that we just got through saying, the embodiment of it is TPUSA. This is Charlie Kirk's legacy. Obviously, he's very pro-Israel, but the problem was that it embraced and continues to embrace Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, the same people we're talking about. So these young people are being sent very confusing messages. They're being told on one hand by the Ben Shapiros, right? Stand with Israel, American democracy, this, that, and the other. But they're being told by the Tucker Carlsons where Israel is the problem, Israel's persecuting Christians. So they're hearing these things at the same time from the same conservative institutions, not from one left on the right, all on the right. That's a very bad sign. So that's going to have to play all the way out, unfortunately, because it's still not being taken seriously. Tucker is still being embraced. He's still being platformed. He's still in the Oval Office. So this is not going away. This is not something from a while ago. This is happening right now in real time.
So I guess just before I let you go, what would your message be to those young people that are confused, are getting those mixed messages? If they were watching this, what would you say to them?
That's a good question. So I would say to them that their commitment has to be the truth. And again, that can be a cliche, like we started on this conference last night. Regardless to who is saying what to them, their commitment has to be truth. They have to be willing to do the work and really get to the bottom of it. I'll give you a quick example. If a Tucker just says something like Israel's committing persecution against Christians, which is a bald-faced lie, they have to do the work and find out the truth. about Christians having freedom here in this country. That it may sound small, but that's for the young people. That's what's going to keep their head on a swivel. That's what's going to keep them from getting pulled into a bunch of propaganda and dogma, that type of thing, is finding out for themselves. They're really going to have to do that in order for them to really have some clarity and walk into some moral clarity at this time.
I actually want you to give a message to two other groups, the Republican Party, people in the Republican Party that are not captured by it, but are too scared to speak out. What would you say to them?
They have to get a life and get over it. This is the problem. This is really not that difficult. These are the same Republicans who came for the Democrats when Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib were coming for Israel. What do they say? You guys need to call them out. You guys need to speak out. Now it's on your thing. It's easy to call somebody else out when you don't think you have a dog in the fight. Now it's happening in the Republican Party, and the same moral cowardice is setting in. Yes, now for the people who push back, yes, there are some who are saying what they're saying, who are pushing back, but not nearly enough. Not nearly enough of the senior members of both the Congress and the Senate are pushing back on what it is that they're hearing. They're being silent, and they're being silent because they're afraid. Tucker has a large following, so they're afraid that if they actually push back, people are going to say things that that's exactly what happened on the left. So for the right, that's why I have even less patience for them. You sat there and you saw what went on. You called it out. Now you're being the hypocrites because it's happening in your party. You have nothing to say. You need to get over it.
And finally, if there was any space in either Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens, those are probably the most effective anti-Jew campaigners at the moment. So what would you say to them if they were watching this now?
They'd have to know why they're doing what they're doing. Do they know they're not telling the truth? Probably. Are they being incentivized? Probably. The only thing I would do with them as like a pastor, remind them that what you sow, you reap. So you're a lot of division, a lot of evil, a lot of lies, and you're thinking you're coming at Israel and the Jews. I'll tell you something, Israel and the Jews have a 4,000-year history. They're not going anywhere. You might want to check out your own thing, right? Because Pharaoh's not here anymore. Roman Empire's not here anymore. So these guys are going to be like bugs on a windshield. I mean, I'm not trying to be violent, but just saying, to the Tuckers and the rest of them who are coming against Israel, calling themselves America First, all those types of things, but they know that they're lying, they're misrepresenting, they're only ultimately going to destroy themselves, right? Israel's going to be fine. Like I say as a pastor, the reason why the scripture says he that keepeth Israel, now the slumbers will see, it doesn't say he that keepeth America, right? So America and those who consider themselves American citizens and want a strong America, you might want to get your blasphemous tongue off of Israel, leave them alone, because we have enough issues going on in our own backyard that we really need to pay attention to.
And the fact that you say you're a pastor sparked one more question. What would you say to the Christians that are using Christianity as they've weaponized it? Christ is King is like a slap down in my comments because I'm a Jew. What do you say to those Christians?
They need to understand their faith. This is about understanding the scriptures, right? They need to understand that what they're hearing politically coming against Christian Zionists, Tucker saying that he hates Christian Zionists, it's because Tucker doesn't know the Bible. Why would you listen to somebody who's ignorant about the Bible, talking about the Bible? These people have no idea what they're talking about. So for those people, when they see other Christians using their faith, Christ is King, Jews, Christ killers, all that kind of stuff, they need to understand that these people are weaponizing something that's only working if they're ignorant of the scriptures, right? That Jesus was a Zionist rabbi, right? So this is not, but they have to understand that in the scriptures, right? If they understand that, then they'll be fine. They don't have to worry about all the blah, blah, blah. They won't be taken back by that.
Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for all your work.
No problem. Thank you.
Ezra Levant here, along with Avi Yamini. I'm in Jerusalem for an international conference of leaders against anti-Semitism. To follow all of our journalism, go to rebelnews.com.